Hello and welcome back to another video here in the LEGO room. I hope you're well. Today we've got a really fun video. It might actually take a day or two to do, and that is the Mandalorian final battle scene that I sort of created last year. Had a couple attempts at this. I had bought a couple of the battle packs and a couple of those Gideon and Vizsla packs as well, and sort of mashed them all together and did a little bit of work to sort of invert the doors of the build and sort of have them lined up. But I'm not really pleased with the way it looks on the shelf. It's sort of just a bit sort of cramped into the corner with those super commandos, and what I really want to do is sort of create more of a scene, a bit of scenery in there as well. And also I've got another pack of Mandalorians by which I can sort of expand the scene. If you're here in the UK, you'll obviously be aware that we've got some Mandalorians in the LEGO Star Wars magazine currently, and we're going to get some Super Commandos by the looks of it in a month's time. So there's an opportunity to continue to build this series out. Let me show you what I've got so far, and then we're going to dive right into upgrading this scene. And the first thing to do was to get the brick vacuum out and give it a little dust down. It doesn't look so great up close and personal. It has been sat on that shelf for a couple of months and gathering a lot of dust. The next thing to do was to pull out the battle pack and pull the minifigures out of the battle pack. And I'll leave those for later and add them back to the scene. What I do need to do is sort of pull all of the inventory parts together. The greys, the dark bluish greys, and of course that nougat colour, as I begin to sort of create the structure for this MOC. So you can see I've started to put some of the basic framework and structure in place here. Now this is the opposite way in which it should be done when you get these two sets. They're supposed to connect with this part being on the other side of the door, but as of course I've decided to expand it, and I did have everything on the left hand side of the double door that I'd created. I thought it was time to invert this sort of area and sort of put a little bit of a twist on it so that I can have it on the right hand side so that it does clip in, and you've got some rocky mountainous terrain just in front of it, and I've still managed to keep this little scene here with the commando, and you got the Mandalorian looking up towards him. So that's the framework of what we're going for on the right hand side. Let's start on the left hand side. Now, the left-hand side I'm actually far more excited for. There's a lot more room to play with and a lot more pieces from my inventory to play with, as well as the leftovers from this battle pack. And I actually think that I've managed to create a really nice sort of mountainous terrain on the left-hand side. I would like to maybe get a couple more Super Commandos in there. That is maybe a problem for another time. But as you can see, the colour combination of the dark grey, light grey and nougat is really starting to work together nicely. I've got to say, for a halfway point in this particular build, I'm really pleased with the way this looks. It will be a matter of seconds for yourself watching this, but I'm going to pick this up again tomorrow night. The right-hand side of the build, it needs some considerable work. It needs to be pulled around the back just so that it looks sort of a bit better, and it needs plated off. But this left-hand side, I've got to say, I'm really pleased with the way it looks. The highest praise I can give myself is it looks like it should be part of the build. And the final step before we start adding more details and minifigures is, of course, to connect the left and right hand sides and also leave a gap in the middle where they can be disconnected. Okay, so this is what I've got so far, and I've managed to connect the two, and we've got a little bit of a walkway type area. We'll have some little sort of fight scenes in there as the camera struggles to focus all those different textures of grey and white. And yeah, that's the connection point there just before the mountainous terrain, which is of course the connection point at the front. And what I'll do is now I'll peel these two apart and work on the right hand side first, and then we will work on the left hand side after that. So it's the next day, and I have added some details to the build overnight, and I've also added all the minifigures back into it. So I'll take you a little bit around it from left to right. And I've created a couple of little stories. In one of the double doors, you've got Gideon with Mando and Grogu, and in the other one, you've got Vizsla fighting off the 3 Praetorian guards. I've tried to mix the colours of the Mandalorians up a little bit as you go around and elevate some of the super commandos. If there's one thing that I would have liked to have done with this, it's maybe have a little bit more elevation for both Mandalorians and commandos. The back part is open ever so slightly, and it does sort of attach in the middle part, just like the two double doors do, just to make it easier to pull apart. And I'm not too bothered about the sort of walkway that isn't plated off. Maybe I would plate it in the future, but as it's going neatly into the shelf, as we've already seen in this video, it really doesn't matter that there's a little bit of open space. I'd rather save the plate for future MOCs. I am, however, pleased with the mountainous terrain. And I've just realised that the Bo-Katan figure is missing from when I put all the figures back in, so I will be adding Bo-Katan. I'll probably put it in the doorway there with Gideon. That makes the most sense canonically. Pretty pleased with this, I've got to say, considering it was mostly used with inventory parts that I have. Very pleased with it. I feel like I've finally come to a solution. I'd maybe like to get a couple more Super Commandos, which I have to wait to see when they land in the magazines. There you go, I have elevated it back into a higher shelf. It's new, I really like it, so it will stay in a more eye level position for now so that I can enjoy it. And as you can see, Bo is back in the doorway against Gideon, and really pleased with this. This side on the left, it does look slightly better than the side on the right, but the thing I'm really pleased about is it does fit naturally into the shelf. A good use of my time, in my opinion. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. It will be sincerely appreciated. And if you're a LEGO Star Wars fan, do consider subscribing to the channel. There'll be tons of LEGO Star Wars content coming over the next couple of months, and hopefully a couple more MOCs.